What do you do when the journey ahead is dangerous, and all you have is faith? Not a shield, not an army, just prayer and a promise from God. Ezra. Chapter 8 opens with a list of names. At first glance, it looks like just another genealogy, but look closer. This is a roll call of courage. These were families willing to leave comfort behind. They chose the long road back to Jerusalem, a journey filled with risk, uncertainty, and enemies waiting in the shadows. Ezra pauses before the journey begins. He counts the people, and something is missing. There are no Levites. The very people called to serve in the house of God weren't present. So Ezra does something wise. He doesn't rush ahead. He sends for them. Lesson 1. God's work should never be done without God's order. Speed is not more important than obedience. When the Levites arrive, Ezra gathers everyone by the river Ahava. This is not a celebration. This is not a strategy meeting. It's a moment of humility. Ezra looks at the long road ahead, bandits, danger, exhaustion, and he makes a bold confession. He says, "I was ashamed to ask the king for soldiers and horsemen." Why? Because he had already declared, "The gracious hand of our God is on everyone who seeks him." Ezra understood something powerful. If you talk about trusting God, you must be willing to walk it out. So instead of asking for protection from the king, they fasted, they prayed, they humbled themselves before God. And you know, the Bible says, God answered their prayer. No armies, no weapons, just faith, fasting, and full dependence on God. Ezra then entrusts the silver, the gold, and the sacred offerings to the priests. He tells them, "You are holy to the Lord. Guard these until you reach Jerusalem." This wasn't just about money, it was about responsibility. Lesson 2. God entrusts his treasures to people who take holiness seriously. The journey begins not with fear but with confidence, not because the road was safe but because God was with them. Ezra chapter 8 reminds us of this truth. When you seek God sincerely, when you humble yourself honestly, and when you trust him fully, his hand goes before you. You may not always have backup. You may not always feel prepared, but prayer can become your protection. So before your next big step, before your next risky decision, pause at your river Ahava. Fast, pray, trust, because the same God who guided Ezra's journey is still faithful to guide yours, and his gracious hand is still on those who seek him.